Hello, my intimate intellects. How are you doing today? I'm doing great. And today we're going to switch it up a bit. We're going to talk about a piece of art that caused so much chaos that the police had to be called and extra security had to be around to just keep people from attacking it. Let's get into it. Right. It's 1865. A gentleman has just unveiled a piece of art in the Persian art world at one of the most prestige places in Paris. What do you think happens? You're looking upon it, you see other people looking upon it, and the man next to you takes his umbrella and starts smacking at the canvas. That's just how angry he was at this piece of art. And boy, oh boy, how would that make you feel? At that time, you probably would have took whatever you had at your hand to and tried to break this piece of art as well. This wasn't some obscene piece of pornography image. No, you would think that's what it was, why people cause so much and so many problems around this one piece of artwork, but it wasn't. This was a painting of a woman laying on a bed, and why this particular woman caused so many problems is because it made the people of the Victorian era look into the realness and the hypocrisy within their own minds. They were some hypocrites. They were looking at everything that was wrong with society, but they didn't want to see it straight up in their faces. They wanted to hide in the back. But not this piece of art. Let's talk about the artist. Edouard Manet, a prestige gentleman, as one may call him. He is our king of chaos today, and he was born in 1832 to a wealthy family. His dad was a judge, very respectable. But Edward was like, respectable is boring. He said, I am going to scandalize Paris instead. And that's just what he did. He could paint landscapes, and he could paint, people. He could paint all kinds of things, which was what was selling. But Edward was like,
I am sick of this. I am tired of this. I want to do something else. I want to paint something else.
Now, before we get into the actual painting that caused problems, we're going to talk about another one of his paintings that he did, because he had already started drama. And it was this one. There it is. Take it away. This one was called Lunching on the Grass. It is a painting of two men having lunch with some women who happen to be, you want to see the painting again? There it is. It's gone. Who happened to be naked at the time, and they were looking straight at the viewer. They weren't being shy and modest. And that's what caused the problem. You're questioning, was it because they were naked? No, that wasn't the problem. You'd be naked in the picture back then. Nobody gave a crap. You'd be naked. What the problem was they was looking at the viewer next to two fully clothed men. The problem was they were looking right at the viewer. They weren't looking away because they were supposed to be ashamed of being naked, but they weren't. Want to see it again? Boom! It's gone. I am so silly. Something's wrong with me. Anyway, now we're going to talk about the Paris Salon. You don't know what the Paris Salon is? No, not a Paris Salon. But a Paris Salon was where this painting that we're going to get into was displayed. This was the place of the most prestige artists at the time. I mean, it was ran by ultra conservative France. Ultra conservative France. And they had specific rules. Historical paintings, mythological subjects, perfect polished technique. If you painted nude women, they had to be goddesses or exotic figures, not real women. I'm going to talk about the exotic part. It's going to be quick. Exotic figures meant exotic women, and it meant exotic Oriental women. Yeah, hypocritical France. You could paint women as long as they were Oriental and women you wouldn't see on the street because by God, it's a person. She's a person. But anyway, you couldn't paint women that you walk down the street and see. She had to be from somewhere else. Basically, the echo chamber for conservative French values. So when Manet submitted Olympia, I'm still not going to show it to you till we get to that part. Olympia, he knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly what he was doing. He was like, y'all keep lying to yourselves. I'm going to show you the truth. Boom! Oh my gosh. The painting was called Olympia. Yes, Olympia. Olympia shows a young woman laying nude on the bed looking directly at the viewers with absolute fearlessness in her gaze. She's wearing nothing but a ribbon around her neck, a bracelet, and some slippers. I like them slippers she got on. A black woman is bringing her flowers, and there is a cat at the foot of the bed. You ready to see the photo? You ready to see the picture? Here it is. Take it in. It's all its glory. Ain't it pretty? Ain't it gorgeous? See how she just stares into your eyes, deep, deep into your eyes. Some of you may be saying, oh, take it away. Now some of you may be saying, that's not that bad, Diane. Sounds like a standard nude painting to me. You be wrong, baby. Every single detail in this painting was deliberately done to cause problems. All of it. You may not see it, but you don't see it, but I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna help you see it. I'm gonna help you come to the light. To help you come to the light. First, she's clearly a Persian prostitute. So the name itself is associated with prostitution. And I learned that by looking up these paintings, and I did not know that. It makes me question some things, but I'm gonna keep moving on with my life because if I think about it too much, I'm wondering way too much. The name Olympia is associated with sex work. So Manet based it on a model, and her name, it's my hair. Her name is Victorine Minaret. Victorine Minaret. And she was probably a sex worker herself. 2, her gaze. Instead of her shying away from the viewer, being like, oh, don't look at me, she stared directly at the viewers. Fearlessness with the gaze of saying, I'm here. I'm a person. Look at me. Third, the flowers. They were from a client. This isn't a romantic gesture. This is a business transaction. Yeah, the flowers were from one of her clients. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Oh, we're still not done. We're still not done. Fourth, the black cat. And this was something interesting I did find out. So I'm going to read this one. Traditional nudes had sleeping dogs symbolizing fidelity. Fun. Manet put an alert, that's 1.2, an alert black cat associated with sexuality, independence, and God forbid, witchcraft. People didn't like that. That was a very interesting fact to me. I did not know something, I didn't know anything about the significance of the animals specifically in paintings until I started looking up different paintings. And I found out something about a deer too, but that's not in this video. That'll be in another video. We'll talk about that later. And the fifth, the technique. They were bold, the fizzle with brush strokes, the harsh contrast, the look of unfinishedness by academic standards, raw, immediate, and real. They did not like that. You remember Queen Elizabeth when she used to put all that paint makeup on and it got so much to where she looked like a porcelain doll? Like you couldn't see a crack, you couldn't see a crevice. All you saw was that beautiful paint all over her face and that red and rosy cheeks, and she just looked so perfect and polished. That was what a painting was supposed to look like. You were not supposed to have rough brush strokes. You was brush strokes. It was supposed to be smooth, supposed to be perfect, supposed to be everything conservative France wanted. They wanted hypocrisy. That's what they wanted. But like I said, you may say, well, why is this such a big deal? Paris in the 1860s had over 30,000 registered prostitutes. 30,000 plus registered prostitutes. And they had other women who weren't registered prostitutes. They had registered brothels. And the ultra wealthy men at the time visited these places, and their wives and families were supposed to pretend that didn't exist. And Manet forced the viewers to face that head on. I am digging the message. I am digging the message. He was like, you wealthy people just want to come here and see these perfect, beautiful, polished, brushstroke pictures of these women and goddesses. You want to look at naked women, but you don't want them to look at you. I'm gonna make this woman look at you and make you face every single piece of hypocrisy that you ever thought you could escape. I'm proud of him for it. I'm just getting a little, I don't know the word for it right now, but I am. Oh, let's get into the riots. Olympia was accepted into the Paris Salon in 1865, probably because it was accepted because one of the judges really didn't know what he was looking at. He was just like, oh, it's a woman, she's nude, which is not a problem. She's just looking at it, but oh, whatever. He put it on display. When it was unveiled from day one, it caused problems. People were fainting, people were shouting, people had to be escorted out. People had to get extra security for this one painting. The real chaos started when people physically started attacking the canvas. There's a story of a guy who took his umbrella, looking at it, and just going at it. There's another guy, he had a little walking cane. Him too, going at it. Had to be escorted out. What they have to do, they had to get extra security, and they decided, hey, we're gonna move this painting from here to over there. It was still on display. They didn't take it down. They just moved it higher so people would stop attacking the damn painting. And the press wasn't no better. They called it immoral, degrading, wild. And a woman who, what did it say? Because I had to find the things. What did he say? A degraded model picked up, I don't know where. What the hell you mean you don't know where? She obviously came from one of the brothels that you know about that you probably done went to. They so hypocritical. They said it was vulgar and Manet had fallen into childish absurdity. That's what they say about my boy Edward. All because of a painting of a woman looking at you. There is so much symbolism back in the day that people in today's time just wouldn't understand. Because I looked at the painting and I was like, oh, it's a cool painting. But not back then. People was fainting and slapping it and being escorted out. It was crazy. But here's where it made them really angry. They couldn't dismiss this painting as poorly done. Meaning they had to acknowledge the creativity in it. And some of the critics even said, like, yeah, Monet knew he knew what he was doing. Manet knew what he was doing. Like, and it made them even angrier that they couldn't say, hey, this is a poorly done piece of garbage of a woman just looking at me. That's what actually got the crowds like even more rowdy. So the public at the time was split between, oh, we love it, and oh my God, we effing hate it. Because the reviews were off the wall. Critics called this immoral, indecent, and they were saying it would corrupt public morals and would push immoral values on the public. They already had immoral values. Do you hear the hypocrisy again? They already were doing the things they said that they weren't doing. Here's my favorite part. I'm laughing because, sometimes things never change. But some focused racist, what did I write? Some focused racist anger. Some of them focused their racist anger on the black woman in the painting. Yeah. They used language that was even terrible. That was for 1860, it was even more terrible than what it could already be. Critics who couldn't dismiss Manet's skills focused on his technique, the bold brushstrokes, and the unfinished look. which to me, because I've been looking at several paintings, it still doesn't look unfinished. But if you go back and look at what was considered acceptable at the time, I guess you can say, it looks unfinished, but it doesn't. It looks great to me. I love this painting. Moving on. Everyone was comparing this painting to Titan's Venus of Udino. I feel like this painting may have been seen, but if you want to see it, here it is. Which Manet did say he referenced, and everyone was calling him blasphemous and saying, how dare you take this beautiful Renaissance masterpiece and turn it into this. Some people take inspiration from others, they just change it up. But guess who paintings gets more talked about? Manet's. We still talk about Titans, but I'm gonna remember Manet's more. Anyway, there was mixed outrage with few progressive voices recognized something important was happening. Novelist Emile Zola wrote a passionate defense arguing Manet showed more artistic courage than all academic painters combined. She said he was progressive, which he was, if you think about it. All those perfectly polished academic paintings from 1865, nobody remembers. If you Google most famous painting in 1865, guess who's gonna pop up? That lady staring at you. So after everything had happened, he caused this chaos and the critics was talking about him and people were attacking his painting and trying to get it down and take it down. What happened? What happened after all the chaos? The scandal made Manet famous, but also infamous. Polite society loved to hate him. Some people wouldn't even speak his name at social events. But guess what? You thought it. You know who he is. He gained a following among progressive artists who saw him as revolutionary. Young artists started looking at him as a leader. He got some young artists who looked up to him and they was like,
this man is great. Everybody's talking about him. So what do? You're gonna hold on to him? I wanna learn from you.
And eventually it became Impressionism. So where nobody else was making these bold strokes and these harsh contrasts between light and dark in her paintings, everybody was doing it, but he was the first. So after the controversy, she was taken down from public display. Miss Olympia was. She stayed in a private collection until 1890 when Claude Monet and other impressionists led a fundraising campaign to purchase it from the French National Collection. Even then, it took years before they put it back on display. People were still up in a frenzy about this painting for such a long time. But she changed everything. She influenced Impressionists, Post-Impressionists, and every modern art movement after. Artists realized you could paint contemporary life, challenge social norms, and use rough, immediate techniques to create emotional impact. And if art don't make you feel nothing, is it art? Not that banana taped on that damn wall with some duct tape. I'm not talking about that. That just makes me angry. There are some people, they have crazy names. I'm not even gonna try, but these people were great and influential, and they all acknowledged that Olympia was a major influence. Picasso was obsessed, and he created dozen variations based on this painting, which I thought was very interesting. Because we hear about certain artists all the time. And you be like, oh, where did he get his influence from? I never knew that Picasso got his influence from this painting from Edouard Manet, which I think is awesome because he's considered a great artist, and who influenced him should also kind of be considered the great artist, but most people don't even know about Edouard. There's one other fact that I wrote down that I want to talk about. Still today, this painting is controversial. It is still controversial. People look at Olympia, they argue that it still objectifies women and reinforces stereotypes. Others see it as progressive work that gave agency to marginalized women. And the fact that we're still arguing over this today just shows how powerful it is. But I think the message behind it is not Edouard's original meaning behind the painting. Now today they can say, well, it still objectifies women. I don't think he even meant for the piece to mean objectification of women. Another thing the painting did too was force people to see the racial differences between black people at the times. And people today still look at this painting and talk about the woman that's bringing her flowers. Now, does that message still go back? I'm not going to get into all that. I don't want to get into all that. I just think that the message originally that Edward wanted has kind of shifted a little bit. It's still a great painting. And I think even though that people are still switching the message and changing it up and talking about it, it still gives power to what it actually is. It's a great painting. There you have it. Olympia, the painting that caused riots. That's just only one of those paintings that caused riots and people to go insane and do crazy things. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember that if art makes people feel uncomfortable, it's usually the art. Anyway, until next time. Oh, I am tired. Art that makes people uncomfortable is usually the art worth talking about. Yeah, that's it. Bye.